Hello, I'm Maria Dakbu, a senior manager in the Adobe B2B product marketing organization, and I'm here with Chris Merrill, senior solutions consultant at Adobe. And we're both excited to talk to you about ways to save time during your day, to learn how to get the most out of Adobe Acrobat with automation and generative AI. Chris, I'm so glad to be able to have this conversation with you.
Thanks, Maria. I'm excited to be here today with you also and talk about how Adobe is innovating with AI in documents and show a couple of demos. I know that for me, I use AI every single day, and it definitely makes me more productive. I'm really excited to show how I use Adobe's tools so that I can be more productive.
That's great. So today, Chris and I will be sharing ways that we've seen customers take advantage of artificial intelligence and automation in Adobe Acrobat, and some of the ways we use them ourselves. We'll start by talking about, first, how people are using AI systems today. Secondly, how you can speed up workflows with APIs, that's application programming interfaces or programmatic hooks into those other applications. And thirdly, we're going to pull all that AI functionality together using automation to maximize your productivity and free you to do those other tasks that are in your day. We'll be doing a fair amount of talking, but we'll also be showing you demos so you can see for yourself what it really looks like. So let's start by talking about some of the problems that knowledge workers, and let's be frank, we're all knowledge workers today, face daily, and the types of solutions that could ease those challenges and improve all of our outcomes. Here at Adobe, we think about documents a lot, at least Chris and I do, because enterprises run on documents. Knowledge workers are watching them. You need to read a lot of content, consume salient points or actionable insights, and then turn around to produce compelling, instructive content for others to act on. So whether we're dealing with large, complex documents or engaging in those high-frequency, simpler workflows, our goal is always speed, accuracy, and repeatability. We know that organizations across the board are trying to solve for these problems, and that there are new AI solutions that are appearing every day. So, Chris, can you help us to think about the criteria or the things that organizations and individuals should take into account when considering whether or which AI solutions to implement to support their workflows?
Absolutely. I talk to a lot of customers on a daily basis, and we're talking a lot about AI. One of the things that people want to know is how can AI help improve knowledge worker productivity? A lot of people wonder, how hard is it to implement something like that? Lately, people are wondering, great, I have this tool, but how hard is it to use? How do I use it? And then last but not least, and I'd say more important, or probably most important to people that I talk to is, what about security and how secure is this AI tool or just AI in general as it relates to Adobe and documents?
Certainly. So security is such a big and valid concern. And we know that complex solutions, they really require both transparency and insight into how they work. So it's probably the first and most important consideration is finding a partner that you can trust when you're thinking about implementing an AI solution. Is that right?
Yeah, and Adobe, we're not new to this. Adobe's been working with documents for a long time, particularly in the cloud. We've had AI functionality in various parts of our products for a number of years. And so this isn't something new for us. And as AI has become more in the forefront or kind of bubbled up, just generally, we've adapted our existing security and privacy policies and ethics to make sure that we're meeting the current needs of enterprises. And so we're not new at this. We've been doing this for years. As far as solutions go, we have a great combination of generative AI tools and automation. It profoundly transforms work and how people encounter roadblocks, and it can slow down business. I know for me, I've seen how automations can eliminate a lot of tasks. AI plus automation significantly increases productivity. And I'm looking forward to talking more about how AI and automation can work together.
I'm looking forward to it too. But before we get into that, let's talk about AI Assistant specifically. So Acrobat AI Assistant has some clear and important differentiators from other things that are out there, right? The first being that you use it where you work, right inside Acrobat, so there's no context switching. The next is that you're working with a constrained or specific document set. So when I'm working with AI Assistant, I'm working with the 1 or the 5 or the 10 documents that are specific to the task at hand. One compared to some of those other offerings that are out there, I know that if I ask a question using AI Assistant or for a summary or for some piece of information, I'm interrogating the right source of that information, not everyone who's ever posted on Reddit or every piece of marketing material that's out there, which feels like half the internet, or some official but perhaps out-of-date piece of content. And because AI Assistant contains attributions, I can verify my responses with a click of a mouse. That means that you, or I, can trust AI Assistant to help me perform those tasks where accuracy and attribution is vital. So Chris, I know that you can tell us about some very interesting ways that you've been using AI Assistant.
Absolutely. And in my role here at Adobe, I work a lot with prospective customers. And one thing that I use it for is helping with RFP responses, help to understand the questions being asked, help to find the answers using our white papers internally. And I like that it provides attribution. Another thing that works for me really well is using automation with AI. That's incredibly helpful. And using AI for meeting summaries. So taking a call transcript and being able to ask it questions using the AI assistant.
That's fantastic. And I know that we're not the only people who think that AI Assistant is fabulous. If we turn to the analyst view of Acrobat AI Assistant, we find that they agree too. But you know what would be great to do? Let's have a look at what AI Assistant looks like right now. Can you show us, Chris?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, I just want to share briefly one of the ways that I use the AI assistant here in my role at Adobe as a solution consultant. One of the things that I do is I engage a lot with clients and prospective clients, and I think that it's really helpful in those conversations to understand their business. And so one of the ways that I do that is typically a lot of times I'll review their 10K because it just sort of helps illustrate some of the status of the business, where things are, challenges that they've identified, and in risks and all those sorts of things. So it's just a really good document to kind of understand a company and how they're doing. So I'm here. I've got an Adobe 10K. This is a year or two old, but really the demo is still the same. We can see what's going on, or what was going on back then, by just asking it some questions. So here's the 10K. When I open it up and I open up the AI assistant, it gives me a brief overview. It gives me some sample prompts that I can ask, but I've got a couple here in my prompt library. And so let's go ahead and throw these in here. And I recommend using a prompt library because it's a great way to keep prompts to be reused and frankly to share them with others, so everyone can benefit similarly by using the AI assistant. So here my prompt is, what challenges does the company expect to face in the upcoming year? Keep in mind, this is a year or two old. And so we're using that secure connection. It's private. Adobe's not learning from your content or your data, and we're able to get an answer here. And some of the things to note. So here is where we were a couple years ago, answering the questions, summarizing it nicely. Another prompt that I have here is, let's go ahead and throw this one in here as well. Paste that. How is the company addressing changes in market demand? So it's able to look at the entire document, and also it's giving me references within the document. So you'll see here in this response, we've got these numbers, and when I click on one, it shows here's where I'm getting that information from. And it's really a great way. We know that it's not being influenced by external content. It's all just the content of this document that's giving us the answers by using the AI. So it's kind of a mini private RAG almost, if you will, based on just this document. And so here we have another response based on content, based on the prompt of how is the company addressing changes in the market demand. And here it is again with the references to within the document to find where we're getting those answers from. And the other thing that I like here is we talk a lot about generative AI and being able to generate content based on that. So I've got here, this is a completely fictitious meeting transcription, and I've loaded it up here, the AI assistant, and I'm going to ask it questions. And so here I'm going to say, please summarize this meeting in 2 paragraphs. And so it's going to actually give me a summary of it. Instead of just asking it questions to find answers, we can actually ask it to generate us content, and we can say, please, I like to use this one, please format in for an email to an executive audience. This is probably one of the more common ones because I think that we all have to give meeting summaries, and this is a really great way to save a lot of time, get the notes out of a meeting, and then put together a summary that we can then send off to folks.
That was great. Thank you, Chris. And as we were saying, it's not just you and I who think that AI Assistant is fantastic. The analysts agree. In a recent report conducted by Pfeiffer, Adobe Acrobat AI Assistant, transforming how knowledge workers interact with documents, 16 different workflow benchmark scenarios in 5 different lines of business were measured with and without AI Assistant. Acrobat AI Assistant was on average 4 times faster than the traditional methods. And in some complex assignments, we know that it saved more than 2 hours. But it's not just, we've seen how that AI Assistant can make us more productive in those individual tasks, but that's not the only thing that matters. As knowledge workers, we're seldom tasked with simple one-off activities. Knowledge workers are typically engaged in complex or chained together tasks or processes that are centered around documents and document workflows. Automating these processes can create huge efficiency gains and reduce errors and provide a boon to good governance and compliance. We know that more than 85% of business documents are unstructured, and this stands in the way of being able to automate those document processes. The fact that Adobe understands documents on a fundamental and contextual level means that Adobe can help you bring structure to the unstructured content and make them available to be used in automated processes. Chris, can you help us to understand what role Acrobat plays in automating document processes?
Absolutely. I work with a lot of clients that use Acrobat for all sorts of document processes. One that comes to mind is a company in the Midwest that works in agriculture, and they do a lot of research and development. And they have to. There's this woman there who has to combine a whole bunch of documents and then submit them to the federal government for patent purposes. And it takes her 4, sometimes 6 hours, depending on the size and complexity, to put these documents together. And we were able to use automation to cut that 4 and 6 hour long process down to less than 10 minutes. And so she has a huge time savings. But not only that, she can do other things while those are processing, and she can process things in parallel. And really, that's the power of automation as it relates to Adobe's APIs.
That's fantastic. And I think you have a demo so you can show us how we can chain together those pieces to create automation and to create compliant consumable content. Is that right?
Yes, I do. Let's go for it.
Great.
So one of the things that's really great about the sort of the ecosystem of Adobe Document Cloud is the ability to also do other cool things with PDFs, things that people might normally do using the Acrobat client, but doing it in an automated way. So there's a number of PDF services APIs that are available, and you'll see here on the screen there's a list of quite a few of them, and this allows us to do those things programmatically. So if you have a large collection of PDF files and you want to do things like optimize them for accessibility by adding ADA tags, things like that, or make them more searchable, or archive them, or make it so people can't print them, and things like that. You can do all of that sort of thing automatically, or programmatically rather, even in bulk. And so to demonstrate that a little bit, I put together a flow in Power Automate. I'm just using Power Automate as a mechanism to call those APIs. And I'm starting with this document right here. This is a fictitious call transcript that I use generative AI to make, which is great. And it's just a transcript of a fictitious meeting call talking about AI. And with this, I've converted it to a PDF, and I can now, I'm going to run this flow, and this is going to call or execute all of those steps, those things that we talked about. So first of all, we're going to add some accessibility tags to make the document ADA compliant. So for folks that are using an assistive device, they're able to read a document in the way that it was intended. Next, I'm going to compress it. I've seen documents that have gigantic images and embedded fonts and things like that, and can take up a lot of space, having very large file sizes. So we're going to compress that, save a little space. We're then going to use OCR to make it searchable more so. This is just a text document, but maybe there's parts of it that aren't being indexed, and so we want to make it more searchable. We're going to linearize it to make it so that it loads faster in our documents. And then finally, the last step is we're going to add some protection to the document. I know there's in regulated industries, folks struggle with people accessing or modifying the content of a document, and there's concerns about that. And so if you have a large library of documents, you can use this API to then protect them all so that folks can make changes to them. And if I come back here into the document where we started, and this was progressive. So looking here in my OneDrive, we have all of those different versions of the document, and really the protected one is the one that has all of the stuff in it. And so if we open the protected one, here it is. It does look the same because we don't change anything in the document, the content of the document, but we did make it more searchable. We did add accessibility tags. You'll see here we've got the protection so people can't print it. So just lots of cool stuff that we can do, I think, using these APIs and to automate things.
Thanks, Chris. So Adobe has a long history with documents. I do too. They're not quite as long as Adobe's. I know that I've been telling customers for at least the last 15 years that they should keep everything, that storage is only getting cheaper. They should keep all of their documents. And eventually they, or you, or I, will be able to do something really useful with all that content. Well, today is eventually. Adobe PDF Extract API enables our customers and us to take apart documents in a meaningful way because it understands and retains the context the way a human can. Chris, can you tell us about some of the capabilities of some of the other APIs as well?
Absolutely. So we hear about Adobe's PDF Services APIs, and really that's kind of a bucket of different APIs. So some of the most useful ones that come to mind is I'm going to start with our Extract API. The Extract API lets me take a document, like you said, and pull the content out of it. And it's a little bit different because it's not really an OCR. It's not just taking the document. It actually looks at the content and gives it back to you in a structured way. So we get the data back in a format, including images and tables, but in a way that it's structured so as a developer, I can do things with it. I can do other stuff with it, like feed it into an LLM that's in-house or a RAG or something like that. Next is our accessibility auto tagger. And this lets me take a document and add those accessibility tags so that it's ready for people that need assistive or that use assistive devices. It's ready for them to be able to consume or read that document. And that's incredibly helpful in a lot of regulated industries. Next is our electronic seal API. And it lets me, as an enterprise or as a company, put my stamp on a document. So add a seal to the document using my certificate to show that it hasn't been tampered with, preventing people from making changes to it. Next is our document generation API, which is incredibly powerful for generating documents using some structured data, using a document template. We can build very cool, very dynamic documents very easily, and this is all an API through code. And next we have our PDF embed API. And this is a really unique one because it lets me present the API, or sorry, not the API, present the PDF to a user, but in a controlled way. So it's not just delivering the PDF. Here's a link, download the PDF. It gives me as the organization control over how it's presented. What does it look like? What can be done? You can even have real-time comments. So you can use that embed and take comments that'll write it back. And so you can do a lot of really great things with embed. So a lot of very cool stuff just sort of in that umbrella of PDF services.
We do love our acronyms, right? PDFs and APIs at Adobe, we love them all.
It is the technology way, lots of acronyms.
I know it's a lot of fun. We have a whole dictionary for them.
Yes.
I've got to say, the thing that I'm most excited about in that list is the PDF Extract API. And I know that it's something that Adobe does better than anyone else out there. And that is our capability and our ability to parse those PDFs and do some fantastic things with them. It's also the reason that AI Assistant works. It's the reason that we're able to use that accessibility API. It's the reason that we're able to reflow content on those different form factors with grace. And it's all because of that extract technology. And we're not the only people who are so excited about it. I heard you mention earlier about building your own LLM. And right, that's what NVIDIA is doing. They are using our extract technology to parse those hundreds of thousands, those millions of hard to parse documents and build their own LLM out of it. I know we're not all in NVIDIA, right? So we're not all going to be building our own LLM, but the same technology that allows NVIDIA to do that can allow the rest of us to get the most out of all of those documents that we've been storing forever and really extract that treasure trove of information. So Chris, I think that you have a demo that's coming up that can show us exactly what extract looks like.
Yes, I do. It's a good one.
I'm going to show one other thing that's pretty neat for AI, and that's our extract API, which lets us take the content of a document out and then feed it into a RAG or some internal AI tool that customers have. So if there's concerns about using AI Assistant, but they have a bunch of documents that they would just like to then feed into some existing LLM, this is a really great way to do that. So I'm going to take this document right here. This is just a white paper talking about Acrobat and security. I'm going to upload it. Yeah, this is just a web interface for the API because it's a lot easier to show this than show people code. And so I'm just uploading the document. I would, in automation, just use some code. I would send it across the wire, and it then analyzes the document. Now, this looks pretty ugly, to be candid, because this isn't really meant for human consumption. This is meant for machine consumption. And so this is what the JSON looks like. This will take the content of the document. It will give it to me in, it'll give me the content of the document in JSON format. Any tables will come out in a spreadsheet, and then we have the images as well. And so here I've got, this is the zip file that was downloaded through this, and here's all the images that were in the document. And then if I open up this JSON file and we make it more readable, you'll see that we now have the document formatted in JSON, and we can then feed this into an LLM or our RAG or something along those lines to basically consume all of our documents and feed them into something that would give you an AI capability at a grander scale than just using the AI assistant within Acrobat itself.
Thanks for another great demo, Chris. We can see you're clearly an expert at this. So I'd like to use this time to share a couple of the questions that we hear all the time and get your response to them.
Sure.
The first one is, what are some of the core capabilities of AI Assistant, and how does it stand out from other seemingly similar AI solutions in the market today?
Sure. One really great feature of AI Assistant when it first loads is it gives us a document summary. So it just quickly summarizes what it sees in the document, which is just a quick, easy way to find out what's going on in the document. Second, it's completely catered to documents and PDF files. So we take all the knowledge, everything we know as Adobe about PDF documents because we invented it, and how they're structured, how the data is put in them, and we're able to read those. So it's very tailored to PDF documents. Instead of being a jack of all trades, you said other AI tools, instead of consuming every document type possible, it's very tuned and tailored to just PDF documents. Another couple things that come to mind are insights across multiple documents, being able to work with multiple documents together and ask questions across that entire data set. I think you talked about that earlier. And just being able to ask questions for both. And finally, attributions. So if I'm looking at a document and I ask it questions, I can see an attribution to where in the document it got that answer. So we know it's not influenced by some outside source.
But just to add on to it, I always think of it for PDFs. You can bring out in other document types too, right?
Absolutely. So I think we use Teams a lot here at Adobe, and Teams gives us call transcripts in Word. Well, because it's Acrobat, I can easily take that Word document and import it as a PDF, which gives it all that structure that the AI assistant's looking for, and then we can go and ask it the questions. It's great.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And so as we're talking about those sort of working across different document types and in different environments, you've shown us a workflow that was built using Power Automate. So what we're hearing all the time is, how can I or you or they access Power Automate? And is that an Adobe application?
So I talk about Power Automate a lot because it's a really great way to do cool things that don't require any code. It is a Microsoft product. Most enterprises, most companies that have Microsoft Office 365 have access to that. But it's a great way to work with APIs and really build automations when you don't have a developer or you don't want to write any code. And it's just a really great tool, but it is a Microsoft product and I love it.
Yes,
I may or may not have
too.
a Power Automate tattoo. I'm not going to disclose.
Wait, you're saying you do, or you're just considering it?
I'm
no, everybody knows. Okay, so the third question, and I know we're running short on time, so this is probably the last one, is when we're referring to AI Assistant, what kind of steps has Adobe taken to ensure compatibility and ease of integration? So when you're thinking about starting AI Assistant, what has Adobe done to make that easier?
It's incredibly simple. It's a feature that's turned on in the admin console. So anybody that has Acrobat, it can be turned on for them. I actually use it on my phone because I have AI Assistant. So when I'm using Acrobat Reader on my phone, I can use AI Assistant. It also works in Acrobat on the web. So we're bringing it wherever people are. Easy.
That's fantastic. So thank you, Chris. It has been lovely to discuss AI and automation with you. So thank you for taking the time today, and thank you to our audience. But again, thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Maria. It's been a fun conversation. I love nerding out as always. So thank you so much.
So to our audience, today we have shared tips, examples, and stories about how to use AI Assistant and how to explore automation and APIs. Again, that's those application programming interfaces. You'll find links to tutorials, user guides, and other helpful resources related to our webinar in the resources section. Feel free to click through to visit and continue learning about today's topic. Thanks for your time and have a great day.